All right, folks. Hey, welcome to another edition of XenTegra's Webinar Wednesday. This is the vacation edition because I'm actually on vacation this week, but I wanted to keep the webinar going because I didn't want to lose momentum. And I got a great guest, recurring guest actually. We're going to be talking about Scoutbees, which is a product by ControlUp, which I think many of you have heard of. And we're going to talk about how you're proactively monitoring your business apps availability. On the call today, I have two great presenters and friends who I've known for a long time, and I'm going to let them introduce themselves. So Marcel, would you like to give yourself a quick introduction?
Thank you, Pete. We go way back. I've been with ControlUp for almost 3 years, and in the EUC industry for going almost in 15 years.
Cool. And Barry, you want to give yourself a quick intro? Barry and I have a fun introduction to each other. We go all the way back to my Ardence days. So.
Yep. Thanks, Pete, for having us on. Barry Flanagan, I lead America's sales at ControlUp. I've been here a couple years. I was Citrix SE a very long time ago when we bought Ardence. I was really excited. I still remember that amazing Dell video that Pete did when he was at Ardence. So we go way back.
Cool. And again, my name is Pete Downing. I'm the host and CMTO of XenTegra. For those that are returning, welcome back. For those that are new, definitely you want to pay attention because we got some cool stuff going on for Q3 around our Webinar Wednesdays. Just really quick, we are on GoToWebinar. If you have a question, please put it in the Q&A dialog box. We do pay attention to that, and I will interject the question where it fits. So if Marcel's given a cool demo, which he always does, and you ask a cool question, I'll ask when the content aligns. So definitely put your questions, and we will answer questions. And for those questions we can't get to, guess what? We get a log. We try to answer them after the fact when we follow up with you. Very simple agenda. I always keep it simple. We're going to do some quick polls. As you guys know, I love polls. I love to get some data. And then we're going to let Barry and Marcel do their thing and show off Scoutbees. It's a great product, net new from ControlUp. I'm very excited because it will be the first time I've actually seen it as well. So I'm a first-time viewer of this. So I'm very excited. I might have some questions myself. And then I'll just do a quick, hey, how does XenTegra help and how do you get access to this? And I'll talk about something really cool we're doing with this product. And then any question and answer, please put them in the Q&A dialogue. For those who don't know, if you go to XenTegra.com/webinars, you'll see the listing of webinars through the end of August. I'm going to be building out September. September's got a lot of great vendors coming up. And then I'm going to talk about a quick promotion. So we are doing what's called the Team Lunch Giveaway. So if you, for any webinar you attend between now and end of September, you will be entered in a drawing to get lunch for your whole team. However, that said, for every webinar you attend, you get credits towards Grubhub. So you get up to $50 in credits per month when you attend the webinars monthly, and you can own bonus credits. So if you register and attend all 4 webinars per month, you'll get an extra credit towards your Grubhub account. And if you attend all the webinars in Q3, you get even more credits. So and keep an eye out. I'm going to be throwing out some other gamification around the Grubhub giveaway. I'm also going to have some cool swag that will be given away throughout the Q3. So definitely keep an eye out for those. And again, welcome back for those who've attended in the past webinars. Definitely check out XenTegra.com/events. We have a lot of great events coming up. We have next week, my once a month WVD event. And then coming beyond that, I got my VMware workshop. We got our liquidware workshop. We have a lot of great events that you definitely want to check out. And guess what? They're all free. And the goal is to help enable you guys. Finally, we got XenTegra.com/podcast. We do a podcast series. We're going to be launching a new one, so keep an eye out for that. But right now, we got the Citrix session, which focuses on everything Citrix. And I'm about to post a podcast today. I actually got to check and see if it got recorded yesterday, highlighting some of the things that Citrix just announced this week. Seems like every time I go on PTO, they have some kind of security flaw. So we got a podcast talking about that. So keep an eye out for that. That's going to be launched hopefully by end of day today. Again, that's done by Andy, our CEO, and Bill Sutton, who runs our services. 2 great guys, and they know EUC inside and out. All right, so let's have a little fun before we dive in. I love data, so we're going to ask a couple polls. The first poll we're going to ask is going to be centered around just a very simple warm-up poll. Does your enterprise proactively test and monitor your end user compute environment? So if you don't know, just say no, we live on the edge. But hopefully you have some type of monitoring in place. And we're going to talk about if you think Director is that, or if you have another product that you're using, we'll talk about the ease of use. Marcel and Barry will highlight why Scoutbees is worth a look. And if you are answering no, you definitely want to pay attention today. So we'll let this go for a couple more seconds. I like to at least get 50% of attendees. Again, these are anonymous. I can't see the answers. Others can't see the answers of who's answering, so don't be afraid. It's purely for data, and it helps us make sure we know what we're talking about and who we're talking to. So give it a couple more seconds. Final call for clicks. And there we go. So we're almost 50-50. So 50-50. Yes, we got some that are using a product to achieve this today. We'll talk about, we won't name the products, but we'll talk about some of them. Maybe Marcel will name them. And we'll talk about the ease of use. And then on the flip side, no, you definitely want to pay attention. You'll see how easy it is to check this product out today. And we encourage the free trial. I'll put the link up in the chat window towards the end. All right, let's do another fun poll. My enterprise currently uses an end user compute product today. So pick the one you primarily use. I know you might use two, that's fine, but pick your primary. So do you use Citrix? Do you use VMware? Do you use Microsoft RDS or WVD? Are you using another? Well, not one that's not on this list, that's fine. Or hey, you're not using any. So again, answer the one that best fits your quote unquote primary. All right, I know you might be using VMware and Citrix together. All right, but if you're primarily XenApp shop, say Citrix. So I'll give this a couple answers. I always don't like doing open-ended questions. So I always do black and white, keep it simple. That was part of my research methods class when I was back in the days of college. I was a sociology major, if you can believe that. All right, we're gonna let this go for a couple more seconds. Last call for clicks. Going once, going twice, and 3 times. So as expected, we got Citrix gets the lion's share. I'm surprised at the stat though. 22% are Microsoft shops and or primarily Microsoft shops. That's really interesting. That's pretty cool. We got about 16% in the other or none bucket. So that's interesting as well. Definitely pay attention. We'll talk about a little bit about a couple other things today that may pique your interest on why you want to consider an end user compute environment, especially in the situation we're in today with this whole pandemic. All right, let's talk about Windows virtual desktops, so WVD, and this is more just as a stat, just to help me understand. Are you looking at WVD? So Windows virtual desktop. Are you currently testing it? Would you like to pilot it? Hey, what the heck is WVD? Nope, WVD doesn't meet my needs. Or hey, this is not even on my radar. And don't be afraid to answer that as well. That helps me understand. Is it on your radar? So we'll give this a couple more seconds. And going once, going twice, and as of last week, July 1st, Microsoft started their new fiscal year and are about to launch a lot of cool new programs. And final call for clicks. All right, so I'm going to share this. A good chunk of you are in the yes bucket, which is kind of cool. So if you're currently testing, hopefully we're helping you. And if not, hopefully you're not paying for it out of your pocket, because if you are, man, we should talk. But if you aren't and you know what I'm talking about, awesome. If you're interested in piloting it, let us know. Microsoft just started their new fiscal year. They're going to be launching a lot of cool programs to help you pay for the consumption costs of getting WVD and Azure for that matter. So if you're going to do Azure stuff, let us know. There's a ton of great programs out there to help get money in your pocket so you don't have to pay for the consumption costs as you try before you buy. And again, if it's not on the radar, reach out. We can tell you why Azure, why WVD, etc. All right, final question. Are you using Office 365 today? So are you a hybrid kind of on-premise scenario? Are you wholly Exchange Online? Are you currently deploying? Not on the radar. Hey, you're a Google Chrome Enterprise shop, and I won't hold that against you because, hey, let's face it, Chrome Enterprise is pretty awesome. We'll give this a couple seconds for answers. And I like seeing these stats because it shows how far along Office 365 has come. And typically I'll couple this with the Azure AD question, but since we're not really focused on Azure AD today, we're going to let this just be Office 365. And I do this more for stats than anything. I have about 3 years worth of stats on this. All right, so we're going to share this. We got a lot of folks exchange online, which is really cool. We got the on-premise hybrid scenario, and typically what I see is mailboxes are your hurdle. Definitely attend our session later this month. We're going to talk about migration blues and how we can help you migrate fully to Exchange Online. And then anything below the line there, no or currently deploying, let us know. If you're interested in understanding why Office 365, you don't know what Fast Track is, let us know. And if you're on Chrome Enterprise, I'm not going to try to change your mind because you're on Chrome Enterprise. All right, so that's my polls for today. Thanks for playing. Let's get back to the webinar. All right, so before we jump in, definitely give both companies a follow. It's XenTegra and ControlUp a follow on any of the social media platforms. I know Barry's made a huge investment on videos, etc. So definitely give all their social platforms a follow. YouTube. We all are trying to just build those channels and put content up there. Little secret: these webinars eventually make their way to our YouTube channel. So you'll always have a record. You can always go back and rewatch these. You'll get a copy of the video today, so don't worry about that. And definitely give us a follow. All right, so let's jump into giving the highlight on what is Scoutbees and how to proactively monitor your app availability. I am going to hand the baton over to Marcel, the demo master, and make him the presenter. And as he's getting his screen up and running, Marcel and I go way back. We worked at Citrix together. We spent many a times behind the stage at Synergy building out demos, and we just have a great history together. So welcome, Marcel, and thanks for taking time out of your day today.
Thank you. A pleasure being here. Okay, so what is Scoutbees? Scoutbees is a platform to have continuous testing of your application availability. What we're bringing here is a simple to use solution so that you could monitor that availability of your Citrix or VMware Horizon applications. And what you get with Scoutbees is a report of what is happening over the last 24 hours or last week on your environment. You could have multiple tests and obviously alerting if something doesn't go as expected on your tests. What are some of the advantages of Scoutbees? So we went with a hybrid approach where all the logic, all the management and configuration is held up on the Scoutbees platform as a service on the web. And you could even have your Citrix and VMware sessions launched from our hives in the cloud. Basically, those Scoutbees will go and connect to your system directly from cloud resources. Or if you want to, you could actually define your own locations and have those tests run internally from what we call custom hive. I definitely want to jump in and show the product. So let's move from the Scoutbees page to the application itself. As you log into Scoutbees, and I'll show that in a second how you can create that account, you'll get to the Scoutbees page where you will have the record of the tests that are happening. As you join that first time, you'll go directly to create a Scout. You'll select where do you want to connect from, and you could have your own hives, which are internal, or you could leverage our cloud hives. And we are currently providing a location from the US and a location from Europe and more to come. I'll choose for simplicity, let's go with the cloud hive. I definitely want to show that as you go and select your NetScaler gateway, one of the things that you're going to want to have is a one-time password. So you'll enter your NetScaler URL, you'll put in a username and a password, and if you have a one-time password solution in your NetScaler, we definitely support that. You could have a static PIN if that is what you want to implement, or there's a field where you can enter your TOTP code so that the platform will be able to generate those one-time passwords. Once you put all the information, you'll basically click the Get Resources, which will connect to that NetScaler gateway or Horizon UAG and get the resources that are available for that user. You'll select the user, the resource you want to test. How often do you want to test that? And you could go as low as every 5 minutes. And you'll give it a name to that test. And the next step is to configure an alert policy. And I'll skip it for now and show you some examples of how you can use a very granular alert policy to prevent having any alert fatigue. And here it is. I'm going to leverage one of the cloud hives in the US. It's going to connect to our NetScaler. Here's the user account. It's going to use the resource, how often, and a name. And I'll go ahead and save that Scout, and that will update on the back end. We'll see that webinar test that we created here, and we'll see it soon towards the end. I'll let it run, and then we'll look at it when we're done.
So Marcel, it's that simple,
Yes,
huh?
that's
Wow.
it. Yes,
And
there's
no agent that gets installed?
nothing. So if you have the ability to create those Scouts from our cloud hives, you just need to have a valid gateways, NetScaler gateway or Citrix gateway or VMware UAG, and it even supports the one-time password, which is the recommended use case for those type of deployments. If you want to run internally, and that is also an option where you will go directly to your storefront or to your Horizon connection servers, you would deploy a launcher or a hive within your domain, and I'll show that as well. Now, just a quick check. That session should be happening. There it is. One of the sessions testing itself, connecting to the intranet on one of our servers. I just want to use ControlUp here just to see that session logging in to one of our PVS servers to the intranet page, and we'll get here all of the metrics, including the logon duration, so on and so forth, and then we'll be able to look at those same sessions historically on Scoutbees. Let's do that. So I'll wait for this one, the webinar to run, but we can definitely look at these tests that have been running for 24 hours. We could see that it has actually completed successfully for the last 24 hours. You'll have here your availability, and you could drill into the specific results, identify what the session ready time was, where did you launch it from, and if you click on the record, it'll show you the timings for the enumeration, the download, the connecting, all the way down to the session ready, and you'll even get a screenshot of what the session looked at the end of that launch. Now, we're going to be coming up with more advanced things that you could do, not just did the session connect, but what could you do inside? This screenshot, was the session not just ready, but was it where it was meant to be? So an example here, if you look at the screenshot of our intranet, everything looks fine, except if you ask me, and I would have to compare it to my original site, it should have had an image here. So this could, one of the ideas is to not just give you that logon simulation, but the ability to check, did it comply with the logon duration times that you're expecting? And then one of the future things to come is actually comparing what you got after you successfully logged into that Citrix session. You can also look at all the results, or let's actually look at how a failure will show. And here you have a launch that did not succeed at 1 a.m. last night, and I could see exactly at what phase did it not complete that launch. So this user had a test at 1 a.m. and it did not manage to connect to our 2012 desktops at 1 a.m.
Marcel, so when you get a failure, And again, I'm asking some questions to hopefully get the audience to ask some questions. So when you get a failure, do you guys notify the admin, or is there a way to notify the admin? Because I would say that's probably the biggest value, right? So you want to know, and then you can get in front of it before 9 a.m. tomorrow, right?
Yep,
Okay.
definitely. So let's take a look at the alerting. So I have a alerting set here, an alert policy for one of my tests. It is testing, obviously, if the status of that test was failed, the session did not get to session ready, I want to get an alert. Or if the status was succeed, but it took more than 45 seconds to log in. So you could build an alert policy, and how many times do you have to actually have those subsequent tests falling into that fail condition, and then set an alert. Currently we have email, and we'll have webhooks coming soon where you will actually be able to interact with APIs with those webhooks and alert not just via email. So we've spoken about the tests themselves. You have the interface web-based. You don't have to set up anything to get those tests running. The only thing that, aside from the configuration I showed on Create a Scout, that you might want to do if you want to have internal launchers. So you have, as part of what we offer, hives that can launch directly from the cloud, but you could create your own hives. And here you could define one or more Scoutbees hives, which will be available for you to launch tests or scouts. And you can see I have 2 hives. The first one has 1 scout or 1 test scheduled from it. The second one has 2 scouts or 2 tests from it.
So Marcel, I think it might make sense to explain what kind of things you'd think about, how to make the decision between a cloud hive and a custom hive.
Definitely. So let's jump in with and I'll basically show it directly on the product. If you're looking at a cloud hive, you could, these are public locations. You definitely won't see here connection to Storefront or to your Horizon Connect. Hopefully you do not have it like that, but you'll have the ability to go through the NetScaler gateway that you are running, or the Citrix Cloud gateway service, or through VMware Horizon Universal Access Gateway. Whichever one you choose, you'll provide that address, and let's do it with the Citrix. This would be a public website or publicly accessible site. You'll need credentials for that, and one of the criteria is if you have a one-time password solution or a solution that restricts you from connecting from the cloud, you might not be able to choose the cloud hives. And these are most simple ones because you really don't have to set up anything other than define the test. But we do recognize that there are scenarios where you simply cannot connect from the outside world, whether it is that the OTP, you don't have an OTP that can be implemented through our system, or you simply want to do it from different locations. And the custom hives allow you to define multiple hives where you can actually test from different locations. So I have a hive within our own location, which will basically test locally. Then on our development center, I also have another hive. So I actually have 2 launch locations, and I'll get different results depending on where I'm launching from. So if my development center does not have connectivity to the data center, basically the development center launches would fail. So you definitely can choose multiple ways to define how you want to configure your environment. Now, the Hive setup is really simple. If you do choose to go with a custom Hive, you would go to the Hives. You have here the link to download directly the installer for the Hive. And then you'll give that Hive a name. You'll download the installation, and then as you add it, you'll get a Hive key. And this is the only thing that you need to put in once you've installed your Hive to get it to connect into your own deployment in the cloud. Now I have here my Hive. Once you run the, once you run the installer, which is there's my source directory. It's just one installer, you run it, and you'll have one service. And that service can run even if you're not logged in, obviously, and it can orchestrate multiple launchers. The other interesting thing is it has its built-in clients, whether it's for Citrix or a VM, where you do not have to have any prereqs like the Citrix or the VMware clients for this to run.
So Marcel, you might choose to have for some published apps, you might actually choose to use both a Cloud Hive to test accessing it externally and a custom Hive to test accessing it from the internal network, because obviously there's some different mechanisms involved, and that would give the ability to test both.
Definitely, and again, it's what we call that multiple locations, where you can choose whether you're going to run it from our cloud-based locations or install your own launchers. And you have all of that as a service.
So Marcel and Barry, can you kind of, just a fun question, I guess, and again, audience, please ask questions. How did you guys come up with the name Scoutbees and Hives, and what was the logic behind that? Can you kind of highlight the naming of this and where it came from?
Yep. Let me use a test. So think of this: when you want to test, you will send your Scoutbees to do the work, to test those resources for you, and they have to be launched or sent from somewhere. So those Scoutbees are the tests, and the Hive is actually the launcher for those tests. So that's kind of the idea, right? Yeah, you have a Hive, and that Hive can launch multiple tests.
And you think about it, Pete, it's like the worker bees, they're doing the work for you. So the scouts are actually out there doing the work for you to proactively notify you. So this is different from, the ControlUp product that you're very familiar with, where, that's monitoring your actual environment all the time, and it's going to tell you if there's a login duration problem, but it's going to tell you after, real users are logging in. The difference that Scoutbees provides is it gives you a proactive early warning system, notify you up front, and that's kind of the idea with the Scoutbees, because we could have went with like a botnet, some kind of bot metaphor, but the idea about the scouts, and I admit in the beginning I was a little confused too, but once Gotti, who came up with this idea, explained it's like worker bees and the hive, the worker bees are coming out from the hive itself, then it started to make more sense to me.
Cool. Yeah. No, I mean, I get the logic of the whole bee analogy, but it's pretty cool. I do like the name and the notion of hives, et cetera. So Marcel, back to the Hive concept. What are some of the things we can do with a Hive, like a custom Hive?
Mm-hmm. So obviously, as I already mentioned, you could use it to launch one or multiple tests or scouts. These could be Citrix applications. It could be from that Hive to a cloud location or Citrix Cloud NetScaler service. It could be also from those Hives directly to internal resources like your storefront and your Horizon Connect servers. That is all available today. Some of the things that we plan on doing is this Hives will have the capability of also test between each other. So some of the things that we're looking forward, we're planning on doing with the Hives is the ability to actually run a test between two Hives. And this would be great because it can actually tell you, do you have not just Citrix connectivity, but connectivity between two different sites. This is things that we are planning to take this Hives and enable that functionality where they'll be able to test between each other, or from a cloud to an internal, from internal to a cloud, or use this to launch non-EUC applications. At the end of the day, we are leveraging a web calls to initiate all these calls. We could also, we plan on using this to offer the ability to test non-EUC applications that are web-based.
Cool. And so a great question came in from Scott. So is this solution separate, or is it included in my existing ControlUp deployment? And probably a question for you and Barry, because I know obviously it's separate, but Barry, I guess, is there plans to offer a kind of a latch on to current ControlUp customers?
So yeah, this is a separate solution. So you can go to scoutbees.io and set up a trial. We have a 14-day trial that's available. It's separate from ControlUp, but we are looking at offering basically a bundle in the near future. We have another release of ControlUp coming in the near future with some really exciting features, and we're looking at offering a bundle for that new release of ControlUp with Scoutbees. So Scoutbees is a separate, it's designed to run completely as a service for you, and we already have, we just launched the product last month. We already had multiple customers sign up for Scoutbees, so it's been a very successful launch for us, and we're getting a lot of great feedback from customers as well.
Yeah, and I gotta say, I mean, if you focus on just one simple thing here, the ease of getting it up and running is very clear to me, and that's what excites me about this. Because some of the other products that would fall kind of into the space are very complex and harder to get up and running. Another question came in, and Marcel, you could probably show it, is this able to be put into VMware Horizon, or is it just for Citrix? And I think the simple answer is yes, it can work with VMware, but if you want to kind of show it again, that'd be cool too.
Definitely. So here I have my Horizon UAG or my Horizon connection server. I can select that connection server, get the resources, and yes, I do have. I'm not sure what logon sim user has. We'll see in a second. That user doesn't have any. Scoutbees user does have some resources. That should, oh, pardon, I'm not reading my prompts. So there's to address the differences between the products, as you can see here, I had cached my Acme /Scoutbees user, and we actually need to have it separate the domain from the user, and I think that's just the problem I was having there. Click Get Resources, and it'll show me the resources available for that user on my Horizon. Once you select that, it'll go ahead and set how often do you want to run it.
Yeah, and as you're doing this, one of the things I can say is I appreciate the notion of getting what's called an MVP out the door, minimal viable product out the door. I used to be a product manager, and I got to say, I get it, and it's all about getting it out the door, getting that traction, and then as you guys get that traction, you continue to add features. And one of the benefits of a SaaS solution is you can add features fairly quickly. So, can you kind of comment, Barry and Marcel, on kind of your roadmap cadence and your kind of goals? You don't have to give features, but I'm assuming there's a great roadmap strategy and how to add in net new functionality.
Go ahead,
So
Marcel. I know you know more.
The backend is evergreen. It is basically a cloud service, so we're basically able to release features as they come. For the Cloud Hives, I think we're releasing updates as needed right now. So it's a simple installer. You could download it again and just run the update on your Hives and get the new functionality.
And I will add, Marcel talked about the network capabilities. Basically we're going to be doing something similar. If you're familiar, Pete, with iPerf, it's going to be something similar like that to get you some network data between that. We are, you saw in there, we don't have all the Horizon stuff set up yet for the custom Hives, but that is coming very soon. And we're looking at some additional things. Like at some point, we want to be able to run some additional transactions. So not just get to the publish app, but if the app has a login itself, log into the app and maybe do a few transactions. So that's a little longer term. But as you said, that's the power of offering this as a cloud-based service. We don't have to wait till we package together a bunch of things and release it. We can just roll out the additional capabilities as they come.
Yeah, that's what's great about ControlUp in general is you guys move very quickly. Just being the company that you are and the DNA that you guys have. I've been around you guys 4 years now, so it's a great technology and company to work with. Cool. So question I have, Marcel, around the Hives functionality. So in ControlUp, you guys have that great functionality where we can share custom scripts and and kind of put them in the community. Obviously, they're QA'd. before they get released into the wild. Are you going to have the same notion around hives? So are you going to allow community-driven hives at some point?
Interesting concept. I don't think we've considered it. We do have, as I mentioned, the ability to define your own hives, or we are in this case offering cloud hives directly provided by us. The hive functionality it's basically closed, right? It just has all the launchers, all the clients needed for both Citrix and Horizon at this point in time, and you do have. You kind of could think of the cloud hive as community hives, but those are, as of now, provided by us.
And Pete, one thing that we should talk about that we haven't mentioned yet is how this is different from Citrix app probing and Citrix desktop probing, which is available in Citrix Director if you have Platinum. So, one big difference that does stand out is with app probing and desktop probing, you can only set up the probe to run once a day. So if you wanted to say you have 10 published apps and you want to test all of them every day and you want to test them all, say 4 times a day, that means you have to set up 4 probes for every app. Whereas with Scoutbees, as you saw, we can give you down to running a test every 5 minutes. So you can run as many tests as you want. Obviously, you have to consider if you really want the data that frequently, but you can set up a Scout to run multiple times a day per each published resource, whether that's a published app or a published desktop. So that's one big difference. We do catch every stage of the logon and authentication process. There are some gaps there from Director, and Marcel showed you we can actually test from multiple locations, including cloud locations and multiple locations. If you have multiple sites inside your network, we can test from multiple sites. We give you some more network data than you get from app probing and desktop probing. We will give you a screenshot, Marcel showed you that, of the completed session. You can actually get proactive alerts early on. Marcel showed that, and of course, we're supporting not only Citrix Cloud in addition to Citrix Virtual Apps and Desktops, but Horizon and Horizon Cloud as well. And I imagine, since you talked about WVD and quite a few people are looking at WVD, that's something that we're working on as well. Obviously, the authentication mechanisms and the brokering for WVD is different than it is for Citrix and for Horizon, so that's something we're working on as well.
Yeah, cool. And if there, and again, one thing to kind of highlight here is if you're a customer and you're using VMware and or Citrix on top of WVD, which you're, you can, you guys can then plug into that, so you can kind of indirectly support WVD today, but natively you can't. And,
yeah.
and I'll say that it's most likely not your fault yet, because they're not very open with their remote desktop APIs yet.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and that's one thing. It's an important point to point out. We have to have the APIs available so that we can actually plug into that infrastructure.
Yep, perfect. Yeah. Cool, Marcel. Anything else you want to show off or talk about? And one final question I have around hives. So you have your custom hive, and then you got your cloud hives. And I noticed there was Virginia and I think Europe. Is there plans to grow that list? Like our friends up in Canada. Have a data center up there, and then maybe Australia at some point, Asia Pacific, even though we don't cover that.
Asia Pacific will be the next hive that it's being set up, and then after that, as demand needs it. But you definitely, if you need a hive in Canada, you could set up your own cloud hive, and you could even set it up not necessarily inside your domain. So if you want to set up, hive. Yep, sorry, thank you.
Yeah. So you can do a custom hive and put it in AWS or Azure.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
And cool. Marcel, well, I wonder if, I hadn't thought about this before, but I wonder if, if you wanted to test remote connectivity from your home, could you set up some custom hives on people's laptops that are logging it from home?
You could. There's absolutely no limitation to that. As I showed over here, it just runs as a service, right? That's the Scoutbees service running on this machine. It's one simple installer, and you'll see it here as a process, right? Here's the Hive process running. That's all there is to it, running as a service.
Sweet. So Scott asked a great question. Hey, can you have different alert policies on a schedule? So his example is a great example. and maybe a note for the PMs. One for active hours and one for after hours.
So I think that right now what you have is, let me just check. I am not sure if we have, let's add an and condition. And do we have the launch time? Not sure we do, but definitely that's something we could add, time of the day or some other criteria here. I don't think we have that. I'll take it as a.
But I am glad that you're showing this, because this is another thing that would be different from Citrix app probing and desktop probing, that you can not only alert on success or fail, but you can be proactive. If I really want to make sure that I want to track latency or round trip time, you can alert on that. If latency from a certain location gets above a certain level, you want to be proactive on that. You can see there's a number of different metrics that we're looking at here, and we can alert on that as well.
Nice. And you sure you want to send those emails to Joel Stocker? Because
that's I do have it here on sending to me. This one in particular, if I was to set this one failing at 45 seconds for the test that is running here, it would actually trigger pretty often, because during our peak hours, we do get some log-on duration increase. And then also for some reason at 4 p.m.
Nice. And just a side note, Scott, we all go way back. Joel, Marcel, Barry, and I go way back. So cool. And Marcel, can you highlight quickly just, again, how you can register for Scoutbees, and highlight the free version, what that entails? So what does free actually get you?
Yep. Pete, would it be okay to sign you up?
Sure, go for it, man. And again, this wasn't planned. So.
Scoutbees.io, get started. Pete, first or last?
Yep. Downing at XenTegra.com.
And this will be.
You might want to.
What? Yep. Thank you.
Yeah, it looked like a combination of XenTegra and algebra.
Yeah, we are bros, but
Yeah.
Okay, and that's it. Unless if you have not signed in, it will create your account.
Cool.
Okay, you should have your password there. And
Yep.
if you want to set it up, we can actually finish up the webinar setting you up with Scoutbees if you want.
Sure. And
I'll check your email, please.
Sure. And while I'm checking that, can you highlight the free edition? So what does the free edition get you? And then what, if someone's interested in upgrade, getting to the next edition, what's the process?
Yes. So the free edition or the personal edition gives you 1 Scout initiated hourly and 24 hours of history. And that you could set up, and it will be free. When you set up your account, it is automatically set up unlimited for 14 days, and then it will fall back to the personal account. We do have a first package called the Advanced, which will include 4 Scouts, and you can set up also 1 custom Hive location aside from the Cloud Hives, 3 days of history, the simple alerts, and you could go to even 30-minute interval tests aside from the 1 hour. And then there's more packages, and we could customize them if what we have currently posted doesn't address your specific needs.
All right, cool.
Yep. So Pete, one thing that we're finding from customers is like, we've already sold several deals for this, and we had quite a few people on beta. So, we're finding some customers that are, I have 50 published apps and desktops. I want to test every one of them every hour. So obviously that's a lot of, scouts. That's 50 scouts that you have to set up, but they may want all that from the Cloud Hive. Then you may find another customer. Well, I don't want to test every single published app and published desktop, but I want, I have 5 locations that I want to run custom scouts from. or custom hives rather, and I want to run a separate scout from each one. And then, some people are like, hourly test is fine. Other people are like, I want to test every 5 minutes. And then, some people are like, a week worth of alerting is fine, a week worth of data retention on the test because of the alerting. But other people are like, I want 6 months of the testing history. So what we're finding is, what we think is going to end up happening is that most people are going to go with, the advanced and then some a la carte. We've had a few people already purchase the enterprise version, but there's some a la carte options for, you want to customize how you want things, and obviously we can work that out with you, how you can customize the package to fit your specific needs.
Cool. All right. So Marcel, here, I'll show my screen, but I don't have anything to plug in right now. So but I'll at least show the ease of getting this up and running, and then we'll do a quick wrap. But any final things you want to show off before I take control?
No, please go ahead.
All right, cool. All right, so just so you can see how easy it was, I went in and set up my password, I logged in, and here's the clean edition of Scoutbees, and I'm guessing the first thing I'd like to do is create a hive. And
if you want to have your custom hive, if not, you could go straight to create a scout. And
okay. Oh, cool. And then go and pick the thing, and then pick one of these options. And right now I don't have an option to pick because I got to figure out which one. But by next week I'll have this option to pick. So I'll monitor my demo lab with this as an option. So I'll get that set up next week's. And I'll have a little fun. So I might be hitting you up, Marcel, with questions. So again, you can see how easy it is to get up and running. 14-day trial, and then one free scout with the free edition. So definitely, take some time to register, folks on the phone today, and give this a whirl. Why not? It's a good way to check it out. So all right, so let's do a quick wrap. Final call for questions. If you have any questions at all, please do put in the Q&A dialogue. If we don't get to your question, they do get recorded, so I do have a record of all questions. But really quickly, if you don't know who XenTegra is, we are a value-added reseller, but also provide a great level of service on top of that. So we're not just going to sell you product and run away. We're going to sell you the product. We're going to help you get up and running. And we're going to be an advisor. We want to be your trusted advisor. So that's the difference between us and some of your larger, what we call LARs. And if you already have a partner, hey, great. We're not looking to replace your current partner, but really think about the value that your current partner is bringing to the table. And we have a great partnership with ControlUp. Like as you can see, I've known Barry and Marcel a long time. But one of the things we are working on with ControlUp around this product is our micro assessments. So we are layering in not only ControlUp into any micro assessment we do, but we're also working together to figure out how do we leverage Scoutbees as part of our micro assessments, whether it's VMware and or Citrix. So if you're interested, we do what's called a free micro assessment. It's a 4-hour commit of your time, and we layer in not only just an assessment of, hey, here's a bunch of stuff you need to consider with your current environment, but we also put data behind it, leveraging ControlUp and soon Scoutbees. So if you're interested, definitely keep an eye on the follow-up emails. You can set up some time with Randy and or Harvey who do the micro assessments. And again, it's free. I jokingly call it the XenTegra interview. It's a great way to see how we work, how we do what we do. And Randy and Harvey are great guys, so why not? Parallel to that, I just want to do a quick shout out to my staffing group. If you are hiring, let us know. We have a great pool of candidates that we can pull from, and yours truly sometimes gets to interview those candidates to vet them for you, so that way you're not getting anybody that wouldn't qualify for the jobs you're hiring for. So again, this is something new that we launched late last year. So again, the question is, are you hiring? If you answered yes, definitely reach out. We might be able to help you find some good, solid candidates. On the flip side, if you're looking for a job, let us know. We might have some good jobs. Head over to XenTegra.com/XenTegra staffing. We have our full listing of jobs. So again, how do you get access to this? Head over to app.scoutbees.io or scoutbees.io and register. You'll get the free edition, and I'll be sending up a link as a follow-up with the recording and the link to register. And if you want to get a deeper demo, or hey, you just need help getting it set up, we can set up some time with one of our client executives and a resource from ControlUp to help you further get your environment up and running. And if you want to do one of our micro assessments, definitely reach out and we can layer this in as part of the micro assessment. So final call for questions as we wrap this vacation edition of Webinar Wednesdays, and I'm going to head to the beach as soon as I hang up. But final call for questions, and as I do, I'm going to just say, hey, Marcel, any final thoughts on today's webinar, or any final thoughts you want to leave our audience with?
Just that as Pete showed, it is super simple to set up. If you have even if you have that one-time password and you with Google Authenticator or something of that sort, you could put in the TOTP directly on the cloud Hives and get that running directly from there. Or if you feel more comfortable using a custom Hive that launches from inside your environment, you definitely could do that and launch directly to Storefront or the Horizon connection servers.
Nice. And Barry, any final thoughts on your side?
Yeah, I would just add to echo what Pete said. XenTegra does a great job on assessments. They've been working with us on that for a couple of years, and we've already trained the XenTegra technical team on Scoutbees, so they're familiar with the product. We got a lot of great discussions with them. Marcel went through it with them specifically, so those guys can help you set it up and help you go to the next level to get early warning and proactive alerting and monitoring of your whether it's your Citrix or your VMware environment and coming soon WVD.
Awesome. Well, I just want to thank you guys for taking time out of your day to join me today. And for those on the phone, thank you for taking time out of your day and joining us. Join us next week, same time, same channel. We have a lot of great vendors coming up in the month of July and August and September. So keep an eye out for those. And again, the more sessions you attend, the more Grubhub credits you'll get. And Barry, any final, I think you have another promo just before we jump off that you wanted to mention.
Oh, that's yeah, thanks for reminding me. We are actually running a promo right now for the ControlUp trial. So if you download and set up the ControlUp trial and add resources, we're doing a monthly iPhone 11 giveaway. So you go and download the trial, set it up. You have got to add a hypervisor, add some agents, deploy the agent. And if you have a Citrix environment or Horizon environment, you can connect to those APIs. But if you set that up, we'll see it in our backend on the system, and you're automatically entered for a iPhone 11 giveaway. We just did the first one, or we're about to do the first one. I think we're about to announce the winner of the first one here very shortly.
Cool. All right. Well, hey guys, thanks for joining us. Audience, thanks for joining me, and hope to see you next week. And as I always say, see you all on the flip side, and have a great day.
Thanks, Pete.